Hi guys, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody is doing really good midway through the week and ready for the weekend. I know I sure am. My granddaughter's birthday is tomorrow. Um, Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk are going to be speaking at Manoa tomorrow. My birthday's Friday, so it's just like before the week is even over, I've already got so many things on my plate, so I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I hopefully, fingers crossed, will be at the university tomorrow, checking out Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. So be on the lookout for that. If I can, I'll try to go live while I'm there. Or at the very least get some really good video to post later. I'm not real too sure about the rules of things like this. I've never been to a speaking event like this before, so we're just gonna see what's gonna happen when it happens and take it from there. But again, just an exciting end of the week for me. So definitely looking forward to the next couple of days. In the meantime, let's jump right into the subject of the day. There's so many things happening. My mind is just so many places. But I think for the most part, I think the biggest conversation right now has been the latest interruption in the Kavanaugh confirmation. And I'm pretty sure, a lot of you are just like probably over this already. So many people, excuse me, so many people have kind of weighed in on the issues so far. But as far as YouTubers go, I've really only seen men responding to what's happening. Now, I'm not saying there's not women out there discussing it and throwing it on their YouTubes or Facebooks or whatever. I'm just saying I personally have not seen any YouTubers that are female who have come out and said anything about what's happening right now. So I'm not saying I'm the first, but I definitely am going to be one of those women interjecting my opinion. So right off the bat, guys, we really have to address the elephant in the room. Whether you're a leftist, a righty, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, this situation should bother you, okay? I call it the rape of Lady Justice. Is that offensive? Maybe. But is it true? From where I sit, I absolutely believe it to be true. And I'll tell you why. Now, I understand that we've gone through this whole Me Too movement, the Cosby accusations and trial, and there's just been a real heavy discussion about past issues coming to the forefront. And especially when it was Cosby, I know I even said it myself, that when that comedian, and I can never remember his name, I feel so bad, but when the comedian came out all those years back and addressed the rumors in which were floating around about Cosby, it was one of those biggest secret in Hollywood type situations. Everybody knew that Cosby had a reputation. Everybody knew that Cosby had accusers. But be it as it may, a lot of those women did not bring their story to light because they felt as though they would be competing with a very wholesome reputation. Cosby at the time when he was doing the Cosby Show and at the height of his career, he was, America's dad, and so I truly can see how some of these women who encountered Cosby in their younger years and in the time frame in which they dealt with him, I can understand why those women would not want to come forward and be judged and accused of lying and trying to gain some kind of financial, you know, financial bonus, from, the whole situation. So they didn't want to be accused of having ill intentions. They didn't want to go up against somebody who was very rich and had such a wholesome reputation. There was just a lot of reasons involved, and a lot of things that we as women understand about society, especially back then, and how they would have been received and treated. Fast forward to this situation, and I ask you, do you really think this is the same thing? Because these two things are nowhere near the same. In this situation, just a week and a half ago, we had Judge Kavanaugh in the hot seat, okay? Just getting raked through the coals by every Democrat that could possibly give him a hard time. It was right there for God and everybody to see. Before the confirmation, he was named the nominee. And in July, all of a sudden, this woman decides she's going to take a very non-descriptive situation and try to bring it to the forefront, and anonymously. So right off the bat, I have a really hard time with the fact that she just felt like the Senate needed to know about this horrible thing that he had done in high school. But it just this just burns me up so bad, because first of all, all right, high school and college are those years when we're figuring out who we are, and we're making all of our mistakes, and we're being very adventurous and, throwing caution to the wind kind of thing. Cory Booker even mentioned it at the confirmation hearings last week when he talked about Yale and all the drug use there, and how we don't talk about those things. Oh, but it was okay that Cory Booker said something like that. But now we got Judge Kavanaugh's little joke from back in 2015 being used as some kind of admission, or at least some kind of tool to say there's a possibility. And I just find it disgusting, because even though I know she wrote her letter and gave it to Dianne Fraud Feinstein, the letter in July, I can at least recognize it's not her fault that it didn't get addressed and brought up until right before they were supposed to go back in and vote. Okay, so I can at least see that that is not her fault. But what is her fault is she wrote the letter. Like, what was the point of writing the letter? Then the following month, taking a polygraph and hiring an attorney, if she didn't feel like this was something she was actually going to have to defend. And that's where the rape of Lady Justice comes in. That she didn't say, and of course I'm hearing that she did say something about this over the years and that she's in therapy for these things, but there was never a direct name ever mentioned or used or talked about, to the point that even when Kavanaugh's name was listed as one of the possibilities, it didn't even leak out then that there might be this possible situation from back in high school. I mean, come on, guys. He is a Supreme Court Justice nominee. They're turning over rocks, okay? They're turning over rocks, and they're trying to find anything and everything they can not to confirm this man. So if that really happened, and there was really this reputation with Kavanaugh back in high school, I think it would have reached the Supreme Court nominee confirmation by way of the Democrats looking for things to get him on, and only one person outside of the accuser is aware and kept it to her hip all the way up until she heard, okay, we're going to go back in and we're going to vote on this thing now. Then it's, oh no, wait. I have something you must see. 36 years later, as far as I don't know what the statute of limitations are in Maryland, but what I can speak to is I know several women who have actually been in an attempted rape situation and even full-blown raped. And in most of these situations, there is lack of evidence. And through the lack of evidence, either these cases get dropped or they're pled out. And a lot of these women don't even get to face their accusers in court. And these are women who have reported their rape and their attack right after it happened. So, and that's why a lot of people got mad about the Brock Turner case. And I know that there's this whole, controversy on drinking and sex and consent, especially when you're drinking. But let's be fair to the situation. There were witnesses, okay? There were witnesses. And it was still hard to get any hard time for a rape that was witnessed. So I just know that there's a lot of situations where these women, with more evidence and more credibility than this story, and they just never get their day in court. And so for anybody to expect that this be handled now and be addressed now and investigated now, I find it offensive. I find it offensive to the people. I find it offensive to real victims. And I'm not saying she's not a real victim. I don't think anybody's disputing something happened to her. I think what people are disputing is the fact that she has been supposedly dealing with this personally for the last 36 years, but then wants to anonymously accuse someone of attempted rape and didn't expect that her name would ever come out, didn't expect that her accuser would, or that the accused would want to face their accuser. I mean, there's a fair way to do things in society. And unfortunately, if you wait, the case becomes weaker and weaker, especially if you don't already have a good memory of the situation to begin with. And now we're supposed to count on the memory 36 years later and call it credible. I'm sorry, honey, I believe something happened to you. I believe somebody, invaded your space and caused a ripple effect that you now have to seek therapy for. But I think what the biggest issue here is the timing and the fact that and some people say this is just the first hour, this is not the 11th hour. I'm sorry, when there is an announcement that we're going to be voting and now it's, oh, hold the press, I got something to show you, that's 11th hour BS, okay? If this woman has been in therapy that long and she has been naming Kavanaugh for 36 years to her therapist, I'd like to know when she started therapy, what the statute of limitations is in Maryland, and why a crime was not reported after it had been discussed in therapy. Did she have a conversation with her therapist? Is Kavanaugh's name just listed everywhere every time she tells her story? Has the therapist confronted her about the fact that she doesn't have a very good memory? I mean, there's just a lot of questions that we're not able to answer in the right setting, because even if there's no statute of limitations on this in Maryland, there's no hard evidence to take in front of a judge. I mean, again, how many rape victims who've been able to point to their rapist, explain in detail what happened, but because they were the only two people in the room, and let's say he wore a condom and there's no real physical evidence, unless you can get this guy to admit it and plea, Most of the time, these guys walk, literally from lack of evidence. So please explain to me why we're waiting 36 years and trying to bring it in front of a confirmation hearing, allegations that which cannot be fairly investigated 36 years later. At least with the Cosby situation, you had a train of women over the years adding to the pattern of behavior of Bill Cosby. You have one woman accusing him and nobody else from the time he was listed as a potential nominee till the day they decide it's time to go in and vote on this matter. Now we hear about this? No leak, no nothing coming from any raunchy tabloid, not 5 different women coming out of the woodwork with the same story over time, just one woman, one story with a whole lot of stuff missing to present a fair case in front of a judge. And now we have this man having to defend this allegation at his job 36 years later. I'm sorry, but as credible as this woman is, or has said to be, as credible as they say her half-assed story is, the fact that we all can agree that most likely at some high school party where there's no adults and a lot of alcohol, chances are she probably did have a bad experience. But she can't remember how she got there. She can't even remember where it was. She doesn't even remember what date it was. I mean, there are some seriously severe details in her story that aren't there. So how do you combat that? How do you get away from that accusation when there's no one to kind of lay out a fair case? And putting it in front of the confirmation hearing and addressing it there, I don't call that fair at all. That is not how we handle rape cases. We don't start talking about them 36 years later at a confirmation hearing. There is a time and a place for this. And if this woman was really traumatized by what happened to her to the point that she is in therapy 36 years later, as bad as I feel for her, that has nothing to do with this situation with Kavanaugh right now. I think it's just clever manipulation to throw these two people in the same place because they happen to go to school or know each other during their high school years. She's apparently a very leaning left liberal who has been seen at the women's marches, who have been pictured at protests about Kavanaugh. Apparently, Kavanaugh's mom or dad, I can't remember because I just heard this a few minutes ago, was a judge. And there was some judgment against this woman's parents, and I guess they lost their house or something. So now you have this whole other connection with these people taking her political stance publicly and putting all these things together. I'm sorry, it builds a very good case for convenient distraction. Knowing you can put something out there like that and not be able to defend it, but it's out there and people have heard it and now they have to use that to form a decision. I gotta ask you moms right now, because a lot of you women have been on social media just talking about believe her, believe her, believe her. What if that was your son? What if that was your nephew, your brother, God forbid your dad, who has now been thrusted into the court of public opinion over some half-assed story from 36 years ago, and everybody wants to jump on the believe the woman train without any evidence, without any witnesses, without any real detail. We're just supposed to believe her? I mean, I was there when my friend was told, your case really isn't going to go far. Chances of him serving any time is pretty low. And I know how my friend felt when she was told that. You know what I mean? So I really just have a soft heart for these women who I know never get their day in court, never get to face their accuser, and never get to see them punished for what they've done. And yet we're wasting all of this time to try to clear up this mess because it was a convenient distraction. And quite frankly, the Democrats using this woman and her situation the way that they are is pretty disgusting. I mean, if you really think she was attacked, if you really think it devastated her mind, and now she's suffered. I mean, I believe that she's suffered something, but I don't believe her suffering should make us all jump on her story and believe it like it's the gospel truth. I don't see anything wrong with wanting evidence. I don't see anything wrong with putting her on the hot seat. And I know that's why Diane waited until after all the questions. She didn't want that woman to be any part of the actual hearing because they don't want to seem like they're attacking, the way they did, Anita Hill during Clarence Thomas's confirmation. Mazie Hirono, I am telling you, I'm over her. I'm over the whole Democratic Party. I'm over the Democrats running Hawaii. But what she said yesterday was complete bullshit. Telling men to shut up and stand up for something, that it's mainly men attacking women in this way. Come on, that was a cheap shot, is what that was. And to tell men to shut up, why? And who are you talking to? Because I've seen Kavanaugh has not been quiet about this. He has pretty much any chance he has had to say it, he has said, this is just simply not true. And unfortunately, the court of public opinion has allowed for people to voice it so much and it to be such a major part of the internet for the day that people feel like they have to take these allegations and respond to them seriously. I believe something happened to this woman, but I cannot take her story serious when key parts of the story and evidence just isn't there. And to constantly bully Kavanaugh into having to even defend this in this capacity is disgusting. I know that my mothers out there don't want their sons, and I know aunties out there that don't want their nephews, and I know any woman who has a man in her life on any level should be worried if this is the new standard. All you got to do is blow an accusation out into the air, and now it's up to the other person to disprove it. And until they do, their life is wrecked. I mean, do you want that to happen to your son, your nephew, your uncle, your dad, your bestie? See them getting roped into a situation and then not be able to fight their way out of it because it's an unfair battle to begin with? Do you want your son, your niece, your nephew, or it might be a niece, nephew, but y'all know what I'm saying. When you're looking at this judge with this high position possibly coming to him, you think out of reach, on a bigger scale than what we're at. But if they can do it to people on that level, You don't think the little guy that can't barely afford to make ends meet and probably would need a public defender would want to battle this kind of thing so unfairly because we're just supposed to take the woman's word for it? Um, Y'all, women lie. And plenty of women over the years have lied. Look at the Duke Lacrosse situation. Hello, that girl lied her ass off. Look at any situation where someone has just been released from prison because some bitch said they raped her, and then finally 15 years later her conscience gets the better of her and she goes and tells the police she lied. Okay, look at the woman who was arrested by the state trooper, like I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, and she accuses the state trooper of, on the way to the police department, cutting off onto some side road and raping her. The police department released every single second of video with those two's encounter with each other, and not one single minute is unaccounted for, and that woman fucking lied. Okay, so don't sit here and come at me about some BS. We got to believe these women. No, the hell we do not. We don't have to believe a freaking thing they say until it's proven in court. And if you wait so long and the evidence isn't there, the witnesses aren't there, the freaking location, for Christ's sakes, isn't even there, why are we even talking about it? Why is it even at a level that it is stopping this confirmation from happening when it's supposed to? Has half the country up in arms, believing that a rapist president is putting a rapist judge into a position of power. If anything, the Democrats are using their power to cause issues, distractions, to stop this confirmation from happening. And unfortunately, they're using this woman to do it. I don't believe she ever wanted to be anonymous. Again, how do you think in America you can accuse somebody of something, especially on such a huge scale like that, and think the person you're accusing doesn't have a right to know who you are? So I don't believe she ever thought she was going to stay anonymous at all. I think this was just very, very orchestrated. The timing is, again, completely offensive. The charge, and when it's being brought to light, again, completely offensive. And anybody who agrees with this awful attempt at keeping this judge from being confirmed, if you agree with this, again, what if it was you? What if it was your son, your brother, your uncle, your nephew, who's the one being bashed by an allegation that he doesn't have the opportunity in the proper capacity to fight? You wouldn't want that for anybody in your family or someone you love. So why is it okay because it's Judge Kavanaugh? Oh, that's right. It's not okay. It's really not. And using these women in this capacity, and women using these kind of situations in this capacity, is disgusting. And I think these women who put these false allegations out there, especially when someone has actually done serious time for it, that role needs to be reversed. And those women need to be sent to prison for essentially destroying someone's life. A lot of people can't come back from rumors. Certain rumors you just can't ever come back from. Heaven forbid someone, and I'm telling you, I'm talking about someone who is not guilty, okay? But I'm saying, heaven forbid someone get accused of molesting a child and they never did it. Most people who are accused of something like that, even if it comes out that it wasn't true, some people just latch on to the first thing they hear about people. Imagine not even being accused of rape, but imagine your son, uncle, brother being accused of molestation. And they know, everybody knows it's just not possible. It just didn't happen. But but sometimes that's the first thing people see and hear about you. They instantly stick to that and believe that. And that's where we got to start being better. We can't just let these news stories embed themselves into our mind with an already made determination. We need to really look into things and be sure. And it's okay to say, I don't know. I don't know if she's telling the truth. It's okay to say, because many women every day hear it, there's just not enough evidence here. We just have to move on. You have to move on and find a different way to heal yourself. And so far, it seems as though she's trying to heal herself through therapy. And now, I believe she's using it as a distraction for a bigger agenda, and that's to do anything and everything possible to stop this confirmation. And seeing women abuse their power this way, it's disgusting and it needs to stop. This doesn't have anything to do with Kavanaugh at this point. This has everything to do with our legal system and how things are supposed to work. Innocent until proven guilty, right? Just saying, guys. So tell me what you think. Do you believe this woman? Do you think that it is Kavanaugh and that he needs to step up and, take responsibility? Or do you think this is just too far-reaching and it needs to be dropped? So leave me a comment below. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. Until next time, guys. Thanks for watching.